Hello friends, the National Library of Ayurveda Medicine is pleased to present a new episode on Ayurveda. The present release is part of a video lecture series prepared for the education of Ayurveda literature in accordance with the academic curriculum of Ayurveda studies in India. My name is Dr. Sumit Kesarkar and I will be your host throughout this video, which gives a basic understanding about Tridosha theory, the prime foundation of Ayurveda. Dosha means that which changes. It is a word derived from the root thus. Dosha can be regarded as a fault, mistake, error, or a transgression against the cosmic rhythm. The doshas are constantly moving in dynamic balance with each other. The Tridoshas are derived from the Pancha Mahabhutas or five elements. You are requested to watch the Shushti Utpatti video for more about the Pancha Mahabhutas. Vata is a force conceptually made up of the elements Akash and Vayu. The proportions of Akash and Vayu determine how active Vata is. The amount of Akasha affects the ability of the motion to gain momentum. If unrestricted, as in an ocean, Vata can gain momentum and become forceful like a hurricane. Pitta is a force created by Agni and Apaha. This force represents transformation. Pitta transforms raw substances to a state identifiable by the body, just as the summer heat transforms seawater to rain and age transforms youth to adult. Similarly, Pitta in the human body transforms life in various etiologies towards death. Kapha is the conceptual equilibrium of Apaha and Prithvi. Kapha is structure and lubrication. It can be looked upon as the force that keeps the planets in their orbits through their movement around the sun. If disrupted, it can cause a devastation. Each dosha is considered to have prominence of one of the three gunas or the universal qualities of sattva, raja and tama. Raja is dominant in Vata, sattva in pitta and tamas in kapha. To understand Tridosha principles, which may seem hypothetical from a window of application, we need to establish the Tridosha concepts as the fundamental system of regulatory control for all forms of life on Earth, whether unicellular or multicellular, and trace its continuity from evolution of life towards the present and near future. Though the topic is vast, we can try to get an overview through certain examples or analogies. Let us start by understanding the working of the cell, the primary unit of life. Every living cell contains three basic functions: input or absorption, output or excretion, transformation or assimilation of input to suit its need, and conversion of unrequired materials for output, storage or backup of nutrients to ensure smooth flow of its work. Each cell intakes food, converts it to nutrition of its class, and throws away the waste. The converted nutrition is then intelligently used or stored according to its functions. These three processes require some sort of regulatory mechanism to keep the interconnection and functionality between them. The three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, constitute this regulatory mechanism and can be found in all life forms. Vata is considered the regulatory body for input and output, Pitta for transformation, and Kapha for storage. The regulatory mechanism of the three doshas, though evaluated from the example of a living cell, are applicable to all animate and inanimate objects in the universe. Ayurveda denotes that every animate and inanimate entity found in the entire universe goes through the three phases of origin, transformation, and destruction at different time spans with continuity. For example, the solar system may have been formed a billions of years ago, and it is expected it will destruct someday again to recreate itself. The process of origin and destruction of the universe is governed by Vata. The process of transformation or the continuous changes in the universe leading to manifestation of entities is governed by Pitta. Kapha is responsible for the constant storage and supply of energy to bind the manifested entities together and ensure that the universe completes its lifespan. In comparison, a mayfly completes its life cycle within 30 minutes up to one human day. The time span of a mayfly seems short to us when we consider our own to be around 70 years, but the process of infancy, youth, adulthood, and old age, which we may experience over a period of 70 years, the mayfly does in one day. The changes in the universe may seem static to us if we compare it to the pace of our lives, yet they have the same cycles of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So it is obvious that any imbalance in these processes may lead to disease with respect to the human body, and likewise changes in the solar system with respect to universe. The question here may arise then, if Vata, Pitta and Kapha are responsible for the balance of nature, then why are they called as faults or doshas? To answer this question, we must again understand dosha from a cause and effect perspective as we did while studying the concept of Purusha. On a deep introspection of Ayurveda concepts, we can perceive dosha in two stages. A sustaining balanced state. In this state, Vat, Pitta, and Kapha are known as Tridhatu. Here, the term dhatu is different from the seven dhatus or tissues present in a human body as described by Ayurveda, which we will be discussing in a separate video. The term dhatu means root or foundation of an entity. In a balanced state, Vat, Pitta, and Kapha are seen as foundation of all entities, including the human body, as similarly as the seven tissues described by Ayurveda, and that is why they both use that term. And a state of imbalance which leads to disintegration. In this state, Vat, Pitta, and Kapha are known as doshas. Let us take an example. A person suffering from an acute attack of kidney stones may feel all the ill effects of an imbalanced vata, such as pain and the restricted flow of urine, with the disruption of normal functioning of his organs. However, the complexities of the entire procedure becomes unapparent to him when he is devoid of any disorder. In the first case, vata which has ceased from its normal function to bring about urination is termed as dosha, while in the healthy state it is called dhatu. So it becomes apparent that the cause and effect of both balance and imbalance lies with Vat, Pitta and Kapha. Although the doshas are responsible for the balanced state of each manifestation, they ultimately are the cause of imbalance, and hence, though they move in harmony with each other as dhatus, they are ultimately considered as doshas or faults. Vat, Pitta, and Kapha have their dominant seats of action in the human body. Kapha dosha is described as being dominant in the amashaya, which can be correlated to the human stomach. Pitta dosha is dominant in the grahani, which can be correlated with the duodenum jejunum. Vata dosha is dominant in the pakvashaya, which can be correlated to the intestines, more prominently to the large intestine. Each dosha is considered to dominate the bodily functions at particular times of day and night. Vedic traditions divide day and night into 8 prahars, where one prahar is equal to 3 hours, and have marked the predominance of each dosha according to the prahar, tentatively 6 am to 10 am and 6 pm to 10 pm for Kapha, 10 am to 2 pm and 10 pm to 2 am for Pitta, 2 am to 6 am and 2 pm to 6 pm for Vata. Vat, Pitta, and Kapha perform their functions in the microchannels through their subtypes. Each dosha is divided into 5 subtypes, making a total of 15 subtypes. We will discuss each dosha and their subtypes further in a separate video. It is important here to understand that although doshas are indivisible, their subtypes reflect the various actions the doshas performed at micro and macro channels. The subtypes of the doshas can be correlated with the term humus. To understand this better, we will use a small example for vata. After digestion of food, the nutritive juice is transported to all the cells in the body. This transportation is under the regulation of vata. The juice may have to move upwards to nourish the heart and downwards to nourish the kidneys. Though the movement is under the influence of Vata Dosha, logically we are looking here at two movements, up to the heart and down to the kidneys. It may so happen that the juice may reach the heart without any inhibition, but may be obstructed on its way to the kidneys, which will increase the force of Vata Dosha to push it down more, throwing it out of balance. This state is commonly called vitiation. Though the entire Vata dosha is universal and one, the dualities are felt because of its properties, and it's these dualities or humors. It is like a car rental company who rents its cars to various customers who take them in various directions and return back to the same company after the job is done. If one car breaks down somewhere, however, it is the rental or parent company which has to replace it or service it to avoid the inconvenience to the customer. Similarly to the above example, Vata from its main seat at Pakvashaya or the intestine transports nutrients in various directions, but even if the nutrition gets stuck at the kidney level, the treatment or medicines or corrective measures are primarily aimed at its seat of dominance in the intestine. Vata controls its subtypes or humors from its seat of dominance, but its relationship to the humors is so close that it is not uncommon for the doshas to be directly identified with the humors by some authors. The comparisons of Vata to wind, Pitta to bile, and Kapha to phlegm can only be considered loose translations that may have arisen out of the Greek system. I hope this video was informative and made the subject clear. Comments and feedback are highly appreciated, and you can leave them by visiting the National Library's website at www.nlam.in or likewise by writing to me at vdsumit@gmail.com. Thank you for watching.